Greetings, everyone. So tonight I just wanted to share what I have been learning about cults and reading materials, sources that I'm learning this from, as well as live accounts that I have seen on YouTube and various documentary shows. So my thoughts about a lot of these cults, and I will use Scientology as an example. So, as I've been doing a little research about it, it's actually shocking to me the types of crimes they've been able to get away with as long as they have. Indentured servitude, forced labor, children's labor, sexual abuse of children, RAPE of women, cover-ups of that, basically tax evasion because they're not really a religion, and more. So the only way that something that large and multi-billion-dollar industry, because it's not really a church, could get away with what it's been doing as long as it's been doing it is, one, it's an inside job, as well as there are a lot of people in power that could have done something that, how do you say that, gave a blind eye to it. And now I'm aware of their heinous fair gaming tactics, and it's not just Scientology that does it. Jehovah's Witnesses do it, and there's a lot of more religious cults that have no problem stalking you, which, I'm going to look more deeply and in detail about some of these things. But you think about the tactics that the Scientologists use with the fair gaming, as well as Jehovah's Witness, and I believe Mormons probably do it as well. And I don't mean any shade to people in these organizations. I'm just saying the policies and tactics that they follow are basically, essentially, 100% breaking all types of laws. And it's really kind of shocking. Like, I think right off the top of my head, if somebody was standing outside of my window every single day trying to bait me, I think they call it, in Scientology, they call it ball baiting, or confront and shatter. It basically, all the policies in the Lafayette, Ron Hubbard, the wife abuser and louse that he really was, not even a real true veteran, just fake all the way. The way that he wrote his policies, and I suspect there were way more people than just him writing it. I mean, if you read some of the things, the policies that he had written, I'm sorry, there's no way one person was doing all that. And he was into black magic as well as Aleister Crowley rituals. And there's quite a bit of evidence in the heinous acts that he participated in, which to me is a huge red flag that, and this is what I'm trying to get to, that is why all the heinous crimes had gone on as long as they have. Now, we all know other things that are going on throughout the world, but the fact that they could just blatantly fair game people, ruin their lives, kill their pets. They've been known to kill people's dogs, cats, whatever animals they have, and nothing's done. And then they call it save pointing, which is basically filling people's pockets. They save point police forces, they save point elected officials, which, big surprise there. But literally the types of crimes that are going on behind closed doors, because it's basically like in those buildings, it's like a North Korean compound. These people are worked probably 18-hour days. If they don't do something or they ask questions that you're not allowed to ask, they are put into what is called the RPF. I think they call it Rehabilitation Project Force, which basically is what is it called? They're reprogramming your mind. That's it. And what I wanted to get to is that there's no way that all of these heinous crimes, and we know, if you look into it, we know for a fact there have been many questionable deaths. They have gotten coroners to change the coroner report, basically from threatening. It's called threatening and intimidating the witness, and they've been allowed to do this for I don't know what year Scientology was created. Created as a religion. I mean, ding, ding, ding. I believe it was 57 or something like that. I have to go and look. And I'm not just going to go after Scientology, but I've just been really looking into Scientology for the last 3 or 4 months. And I know that there are a lot of good people in Scientology. So I'm not trying to make everyone just like this horrendous person. There's no way. I know that. But how Hubbard, and you really should look into Hubbard. If you guys think he's this great guy, he was not a good person at all. And how he structured his policies were 100% narcissistic. The E-meter is technically a glorified lie detector test. Look it up. Look it up. And also, when he was in the Navy, which I don't think was a very long period of time, he didn't even get a real discharge. They didn't like him. The people, that were surrounded, his officers and that did not like him. I personally don't even really know if he was in the service. I don't have any real hard proof, because Scientology can write up discharge papers all day long. Unless I see it from the military. I am a veteran, so I know what I'm talking about. It's very questionable. So all of his policies, his alleged policies, are narcissistic abuse 100%. And they are trying to squeeze out any level of compassion or love that you have. That's why the minute you get close, you develop a friendship with a person and you confide in them, they will divide. It's that whole divide and conquer. They will send you to a different base or a different location. They do it with husbands and wives all the time. They actually ask and tell people to get divorced. And not to mention the forced abortions. And there are so many sexual assaults of women that are covered up, and it's called out 2D. Okay, so we all know that victim shaming is a big deal in our society, so when a young girl or a woman gets RAPED, it's their fault, right? Because the men who overpower them, that are larger than them, stronger than them, are just pieces of garbage in my book, can't get off unless they're raping a woman. Then they take that and if the woman reports it, and that goes for Jehovah's Witnesses or Scientology and a lot of the other cults, not only do they cover it up, because they 100% do, which it is a crime, they cover it up, then they blame the victim. And this includes little girls. And I know that little boys are hurt too, but, I've just seen more accounts of little girls being sexually abused. Not to say boys don't get abused too, because they do. So my overall premise for this video is there is absolutely no way that all of these things could have gone on. Indentured servitude, forced labor, stealing of people's passports, um, what is that called? Immigrating people into the country, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally, then taking their passport so they can't go anywhere. Locking them. One account I was listening to Serge Del Mar. They do this procedure called auditing, which they happen to have children doing it too right now, and nobody's doing shit about it. So they have children and adults doing this auditing, which essentially is, in a lot of ways, it's an interrogation created by the pathetic, disgusting loser L. Ron Hubbard, I mean. And they ask people questions, and they continue to ask, which, by the way, the Scientologist pays for, just so you guys know. It's just like a complete network marketing scam. It's structured exactly the same way. Call the religion so they don't have to pay taxes. And in these auditing sessions, they ask really personal questions. And a lot of times, people will actually admit to either desiring to hurt children, or they will admit to actually hurting children. And guess what? The so-called church, which is a cult, covers it up, which is a crime, and also destroying evidence is a crime. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. I was listening to a first-hand account. Oh, let's see, what channel? Oh, it was the gentleman who had just passed away, the Scientologist. I can't think of his name right now. He just passed away. He was interviewing a guy. Sorry. He was interviewing a guy who had been a Scientologist in England, UK, was auditing a man. The man admitted to basically aping children, right? And usually, as an auditor, you're not supposed to stop asking questions, but he did, because it was either that or he felt like he was going to kill the guy. He was so upset. I'm going to go back and find that interview, and then I'll share it with you guys in a link. So he tells his superiors, because his superiors are saying, well, why did you stop the auditing session? He tells them what this scum of the fucking earth had told him. And they're like, oh, you have to finish the auditing session. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. And I'm trying to remember if he went back in. I can't remember. He was really upset. I don't think he wanted to. But anyways, he did wind up leaving. He was just so disgusted. So that guy, the one who was hurting the children and admitting it in the auditing session, which, by the way, they use for blackmail. They blackmail people with these basically therapy sessions that they are interrogating, getting your information. And then that's what they use to blackmail people from not leaving the organization, while they keep continuing to charge money more and more and more and more. So the pedophile admits to hurting children, wanting to hurt children, how many he's hurt. The superiors tell this auditor guy, well, don't worry about it, go back in there, finish the session. I can't remember if he did or not. He didn't want to. And then, so he's watching all of this. Shortly thereafter, the pedophile gave them a big check, and nothing was done. So then he left. So, anyways, I got a little fired up there. I mean, obviously, why? So it's still going on. Nobody's doing an effing thing about it. Children are auditing adults in the Clearwater locations, in the California locations, Britain, probably Australia, and all these other locations. And in these auditing sessions, the children have to ask sexual questions. Nobody's doing anything about it. Immigration services are not doing anything about it. FBI is not doing anything about it. Who else would be? Department of Justice. Honestly, I'm sorry, I'm getting fired up, guys. There's probably things being done, but it's not happening soon enough. So what I was trying to say was that there's no way that all of these crimes could have continued and gone on and on and on and on without participation with government officials as well as police forces and, a lot of people. And that's not to say that everyone's bad people. I don't mean that. Not at all. But there's no way that the immensity and heinousness of these crimes could have continued on without knowledge and participation and allowing these things to continue. So because nobody was willing to do anything 20 or 30 years ago, I'm not talking about the people who were willing. I'm talking about the coward punks that wouldn't do anything. Because they wouldn't do anything, more children were raped. More children were trafficked. More children were forced to do manual labor. Not to mention all the abuses that the adults have gone through and the elders, because what they do in Scientology, and I don't know what they do in other cults, but so they get as much as they can from these elders, right? So the person has dedicated their entire life to Scientology. They might have even been blackmailed to stay against their will, and they didn't want to. Given everything they had, now some of them are not as wealthy, and some are more so wealthy. The wealthy ones, they take everything they've got. Every dime, every cent, everything. And they continue to make them work even when they have real serious health issues. So you can go listen to Mike Brown 101. He's an Army military guy. He helped to rescue his mother out of there. She talks about what she went through. Her name's Rosemary. And there are a lot of elders back there being treated in such a heinous way you couldn't even wrap your head around it. And sure, I imagine some of these elders were participating in abuse, but I can't imagine everyone is like that. I think some people are just, kind of caught up or under mind control. So now the second part this is going to be a long one. The second part I wanted to talk about is that I had just watched this documentary on another cult. I'm going to go back and see what it was.
And I believe the reason for...
I have to go and look. This cult... It's called... Okay, so the one I had just watched. The Cult Next Door, Global Investigation into a Dangerous Cult. That's it. So it was... I forgot the name of the cult, but it's been going on for a long time, which is another hint included me that the supposed governments are in on these things. There's no way. So this cult it's located in South Korea, and this pervert psychopath lures in all these young women to his cult and then apes them repeatedly, essays them, all these just awful things. And then he's got his fixers, well, maybe not their fixers, but they help to keep it all going. He eventually went to jail, then he got out, or prison, then he got out, then he came back out and did the same thing, of course. Hint, hint. And then, so the connection that I had made with those two, like Scientology and some of these other cults, they hide under these, I don't know if you want to call them umbrellas, but so Scientology, allegedly, is a religion, which is absolutely laughable. It's a network marketing scam. And I know that some of that tech probably gives people some good tools. I realize that, but it's a scam. And so they're, I say it in quotations, a religion, which allows them to not pay taxes. This other one I was just watching about the one in South Korea, they're considered a, in quotations, charity. Same thing. So they don't have to pay taxes. So I am seeing just so many I'm connecting the dots and the patterns. And, you know, it's like that old saying, something's not right in Oz. Something most definitely is not right in Oz. And the fact that Hubbard was so into Aleister Crowley should tell you guys a lot. And, you know, it turns out that the conspiracy theories are actually right and that we're all not crazy. So I'm going to end this video because I've just been talking for a while and my mouth is kind of dry. But I hope that that was informative to you guys. And I'm going to be sharing more videos on cults. Have a great day or a great night wherever you are. Peace.